Notre Dame has its quarterback commit in the 2026 class, and he's from Lake Mary, Florida. It's Noah Grubbs, a 4-star passer, 6'4.5", 195 pounds, the nation's number 106 overall player, number 9 quarterback, according to the 2026 On3 industry ranking. Tim, some big-time offers here that came Noah Grubbs' way during his recruiting process. Notre Dame, Florida, Michigan, say Texas A&M, Miami, Ole Miss, Ohio State, Auburn, Oklahoma. List goes on. And Grubbs picked Notre Dame today. The Irish recruited him, starting back in, or they at least offered him a year ago. After Gino Guidugli saw him in person, throwing at a Notre Dame camp, and he's been a huge priority for the Irish staff since. So, Tim, we're going to pop on first his sophomore film, and then we're going to switch over to his junior spring going into his junior year. A couple minutes of clips there. So, Tim, I know when we've talked about Notre Dame 2026 quarterback recruiting, Grubbs has probably been your favorite guy, or at least one of your couple favorites. So how pumped are you about this one, and what do you see on his tape?
Yeah, very excited. When I watch him, I broke down all these guys over pot of gold day, looked at all these quarterbacks, and man, Mike, to me, he just reminds me of an old school, big gunslinging quarterback who's going to sit in the pocket and just throw that thing all over the place. Get it to the playmakers. That's what you just see over and over again. I'm a big fan of his. I just love his fundamentals. I love his base. I love how the ball is always right there. You see it up there in those numbers, always at the ready, as I call it, and ready to attack vertically. This guy wants to get the ball downfield. He's a better athlete than people think, and I think people need to watch some of his training film they could find on YouTube. He could run around and sling it, very, very mobile in the pocket. He's just not asked to do that in his offense. You see him. That's why you see so much pocket presence and things of that nature. He's a sophomore in this film, and a few things that really pop out, fundamentals, his feet. He has an amazing base where he's always ready to roll. I really love his feet and the way his hips turn. Speaking of his hips, you see those a ton. Play action, the RPO, and get the ball out. His arm strength is powerful. And, that's one thing you see with him is how the velocity he throws with is just so good getting that ball out. He doesn't have a long windup. It's a quick attack. And there's just so many things like this. You watch him over and over again. He just really popped out as, when you look at a lot of these sophomores, whatever, people think or whatnot, I thought he's a sophomore that's ready to play, and he still has 2 years left. That's what really stood out to me is he has a lot of fundamentals that are really, really elite. And I just see a guy like before he comes to Notre Dame, he still got 2 football seasons to go. This is going to be a guy that could come to Notre Dame with a lot ready to roll already. Not a lot of coaching, red shirt and preparing, those types of things, giving him a development. I think this is a guy that's going to be more prepared to play college football than some of the guys in the class.
Okay, Tim, now we're going to go over to his spring tape from just the month of May here. So I'm curious if you see anything different in him, as he's continued to develop. His sophomore season, Tim, wasn't fantastic. 208 completions on 354 attempts. 3,600 passing yards, 49 touchdowns, 10 picks, also ran in 4 scores. So, Tim, you said he's a gunslinger. That definitely seems to be accurate. And, when I went down to Lake Mary High a few weeks ago and talked to him, and his coach was telling me as well, just how smart Noah is as a football mind. I think that he's kind of a complete package as a quarterback. Like Noah's a fantastic prospect, and you can see why Gino Guidugli and the staff. Gino and Mike Denbrock went and saw him in May. You can see why they like him so much.
Yeah, it looks like he's a little bit taller. Just keeps growing. I love the fact you mentioned this right from the get-go is he went to Irish Invasion last year and picked up an offer right away. So, and that's after his freshman year of high school football. So he's playing his sophomore year with the Notre Dame offer, and I think that is awesome. And you're right; they went down their spring evaluation, looked at him some more. His base looks more better, which going back to his feet and the way he just plants. You can really see some of his difference. Some of his sophomore film, he throws off his back foot. Some he's using his arm. To me, that's a confident quarterback, a guy who really, really believes in his ability to throw some of those passes you see in his sophomore film. He's a talented quarterback. He really is. And I just love how he just keeps getting better. Like you said, I went and watched some of his spring stuff, a lot of spring workouts, some of the spring practices are all on YouTube. You could really go check him out. I just see a big, powerful quarterback who's just going to keep growing and keep getting stronger, and very impressive. And like I said, he doesn't have all this wind up. The ball doesn't dip. Not a lot of wasted motion with him. It's bam, give me the ball. Let's get rid of the ball right now. You can tell he's really good at reading coverages within their schemes, just where the ball is going. I mean, if the ball is supposed to be going to the right, hash, so to speak, he hits it on the leverage side. And that's one thing you see in his film. You don't see a lot of wide receivers just catching and getting tackled. See a lot of guys catching and running because he's leading them the way he throws. And then one thing, there's a couple plays on his sophomore film in the 6-minute mark are like outstanding. Touch passes on the 7 routes, the corner routes. He doesn't, have to throw it 1,000 miles an hour. He's got beautiful touch. And in the spring, there's 2 passes that are out routes. You don't see a lot of out routes in his sophomore film, but you saw him in the spring practice where it's on the money. It's bam, right there, right on the sideline. Perfect ball placement. So he's an exciting guy, knowing Mike. You still got, this is a sophomore for crying out loud. And, we talk about that all the time when these young guys commit, but that's going back to one of my original points. I think this is a young man who's got a lot of maturity, a lot of ready to play football right now. And I find that exciting as he comes to 2026 for the Irish.
Yeah, he is a mature kid. And I want to talk about his recruitment real quick, Tim, because he had all the big offers as we looked at earlier in this video. He also took a ton of visits. I think he's visited Notre Dame 3 times already. He was on campus this spring, and then was at the Ohio State game, and then the camp that he got his offer at last year. But visited a lot of other schools, did a big spring tour, and came away wanting Notre Dame. Now, it looks like for a while there in the spring, Brady Hart was going to be the guy for Notre Dame in the 2026 class. And when I talked to Noah a few days ago, before he announced his commitment about his decision to pick the Irish, he told me even this also, he was like, yeah, I thought that Brady was going to commit, because Noah visited before Brady. They both visited in the spring, like a week apart. And Noah visited first, but he wasn't ready to make his decision at that point. And Noah was thinking to himself, if Brady goes there and he gets the same kind of treatment and love that I just got, which Brady did, Noah thought that Brady was going to go ahead and commit. Brady is still uncommitted as we record this video, and he's going to go through his process. Noah was ready to go ahead and make the plunge. So it was a situation where the Irish would have been happy with either prospect, and Noah's the one who took that spot first. So that's kind of a recruiting outlook for you junkies who like kind of the backstory on some of those things. Tim, just wanted to close real quick. How about Notre Dame quarterback recruiting from just an on-paper ranking standpoint? Because I don't know if this article will be out by the time like we initially publish this video. It might be, a little bit after. But I'm doing an article, Tim, on let's look at the last 5 recruiting classes, the quarterback recruiting classes for Notre Dame. So I think that would be 26 to 22. So 22, 3, 4, 5. So yeah. And then before that, I think it's 17 to 21. And the contrast of how well Notre Dame's now, it's kind of tough to do because you already know how those guys did from 2017 to 21, whereas 2022 to 26, you have no idea. But just on paper, it's a completely different level. I mean, from 22 to 26, your least heralded guy of that group is Steve Angeli, who was an Under Armour All-American, for crying out loud. Compare that to 2017 to 2021. Avery Davis was in that group. He didn't even. I mean, he was a receiver at Notre Dame. It's a different level. Tim, do you agree with me there?
Yes, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Notre Dame did recruit some elite, big-time quarterbacks in Djokovic and obviously Buckner in that period, and it was more of a philosophy of let's just go every other year. I mean, you could just see the way it went. You take a guy one year, well, we could take a Pine, we could take an Ian Book. You know what I mean? We could take a Clark in 19, and that was just kind of like the flow how they did it was in every other year. It almost felt
Can't do
like
that anymore.
no, you can't. But I also think it's easier too because it's easier now because kids are just going to leave, and you just recruit them. Hell, take one every year, take a top 10 guy every year, and let it sort itself out. Where it felt like this is my opinion. Like Kelly didn't want to go through 2016 with Kaiser, Zaire, back to back. You know what I mean? Like the type of season they had when they went 4-8. The locker room, maybe Kelly was just like, hell with that. I'm just going to take someone every other year and give me a 3-star in between and see how it plays out. But that's how the recruiting felt during that period. Now it's just like, just go get them. And I think the kids are seeing that too, where they're like, I could go to Notre Dame. And if I'm not here, if I'm not starting in year 2 or whatever the heck it's going to be, there's going to be a room. There's going to be a spot for me. And that's just traditional with so many quarterbacks nowadays. But the philosophy, take someone every year, right? Take a top 10 guy every single year, see how it sorts itself out. And you're going to have a guy, a nationally highly ranked, recruited quarterback people want in the country playing for you each and every year. So, they're all not going to be here. We know that. We know that for a fact because that's just the nature of the game. But however this rolls out, correct, between basically, obviously Angeli's going to be going into his 3rd year, and then his 4th year in 25 coming back will be his 4th year. How does that work out with Carr, with Minchie, with Knight, Grubbs in 26? It's going to sort itself out, but the philosophy of just taking someone each and every year is the way to go at quarterback. And definitely Marcus Freeman is pitching it that way, and kudos to him for how he is doing the quarterback recruiting. I think it's first class.
We have much more on this news over at blueandgold.com. 4-star quarterback Noah Grubbs committing to the Irish, the 2026 quarterback for Marcus Freeman, Mike Denbrock, Gino Gaduli, and the staff is in the boat. More coverage, a lot more coverage at blueandgold.com about this news. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that thumbs up, and as always, we will catch you next time.